So no Prince or a different kind of Prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie,
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's gonna have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be.
It does seem like the media have got the throw her under the bus green light, though, when we're posting things like this. We're slagging her off behind the scenes, we're dropping all the information, and then reminding you of, well, her attacking the majority of the population of America. When she posted F the Orange Man.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke.
She thought she was rewriting a fairy tale, but instead, Rachel Zegler just became the face of one of Hollywood's most brutal flops. In just a few weeks, theaters across the country have pulled the plug on Disney's live-action Snow White, slashing over 1,200 screenings after audiences flat out rejected what was supposed to be a modern, empowering reboot. What started as a bold reimagining has turned into a career-crushing embarrassment, and now even Rachel's biggest defenders are backing away as the fallout goes global. Disney's Snow White didn't just flop, it straight up imploded. What was once hyped as a bold, modern reimagining of a timeless classic has now become a cautionary tale echoing through every corner of Hollywood. In just a matter of weeks, this $250 million project has collapsed in front of the entire world, and the latest numbers are downright painful. On opening weekend, Snow White was playing in over 3,700 theaters across the US.
Zoom in right there, that's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Now, it's been reduced to just 610 venues, a drop so brutal it's almost unheard of for a major Disney film. That's a 3,000 theater vanishing act. And when you zoom in on the box office stats, it gets even worse. The film couldn't even hold on to a spot in the top 10. By the last weekend of April, it had sunk to number 13, bringing in just $227,000 across the country. Not per theater, not per region. That was the entire national weekend haul. And let's not forget daily performance. As of April 28th, the movie is making around $24,000 a day, which breaks down to about $39 per screen. At those numbers, we're talking 3 people per showing. No buzz, no crowds, no word of mouth, just empty seats echoing with corporate regret. Meanwhile, TikTok and Twitter have turned into full-blown graveyards for this movie's reputation. Viral videos show people walking into Snow White screenings expecting a crowd and finding themselves completely alone. One girl filmed herself entering a showing, sitting through a few silent minutes in an empty auditorium, and then walking out mid-film. And then there's the clip that made everything worse. Rachel Zegler, the lead actress herself, showing up to one of these screenings to try and save face. She sat in a theater completely alone, reportedly hoping to prove that fans still cared. Instead, the video went viral for all the wrong reasons. People mocked her for watching her own failure in 4K, and the internet wasted no time turning her into a meme. The clip was supposed to be humanizing. What it did instead was permanently cement her as the face of one of Disney's biggest disasters in recent history. Now, let's put things in context. Because while Snow White was playing to ghost towns, the Minecraft movie was hosting literal chaos. That's not hyperbole. Fans of Minecraft started organizing rowdy screenings across the country, turning ordinary showings into full-on community events. People dressed up like in-game characters, yelled out lines, brought props, and, no joke, some even brought live chickens to the theater as a tribute to the game's mobs. Yes, chickens. In theaters. And the energy? Through the roof. Meanwhile, over at Snow White, nothing. No fans, no buzz, just awkward silence and popcorn machines on standby. It's like watching 2 entirely different generations choose sides. One is tapped into internet culture, fun, and fan service. The other is desperately trying to push a moral message nobody asked for, and paying the price. Even Disney CEO Bob Iger was forced to address the issue head-on. When asked during a recent interview whether the company had gone too woke, his response was awkward at best. He admitted he wasn't even sure what the term woke means anymore, calling it an umbrella term that's used too loosely.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences, critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means.
Then he pivoted, claiming Disney's goal is simply to entertain responsibly and make a positive impact. But here's the problem. Audiences aren't feeling entertained. They're feeling preached to, and they're tuning out in droves. Which brings us right back to Rachel Zegler, the epicenter of this storm. After the disaster hit full swing, Rachel reportedly packed her bags and moved to New York City, trying to escape the media circus. She stopped doing interviews. She stopped posting. For a while, it looked like she was entering full damage control mode, and many assumed her career might be done. But then, something surprising happened. Just this week, Variety revealed that Rachel had landed a new project, a small indie dramedy called She Gets It From Me, co-starring Oscar winner Marissa Tomei. It's not a blockbuster. It's not a Disney gig. But it is a signal that at least some in the industry are still willing to give her a shot. Whether that's a smart bet or a desperate move by an indie studio trying to ride the wave of controversy is still unclear. But one thing's certain, Zegler's career is no longer riding the high of next Disney princess.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
She's rebuilding from ground zero, and while she quietly navigates that fallout, the internet hasn't let her forget a thing. Clips of her press interviews are still being resurfaced daily. Moments where she mocked the original Snow White, shaded her co-stars, and dismissed the classic Disney formula. Fans have called her disrespectful, arrogant, even entitled. And worse, her own co-stars are allegedly distancing themselves. Rumors are swirling that Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen in Snow White, had a private confrontation with Zegler, blaming her for the film's collapse. Sources say Gal refused to publicly defend Rachel or the film, even after being asked by Disney PR teams. And that's the real damage, when your own cast wants nothing to do with you. The fallout goes far beyond a single movie. It hits your reputation, your brand, your future. While most of the attention has been on Rachel's public comments, the behind-the-scenes drama may have been even worse. According to insiders who spoke to multiple outlets off the record, Zegler's behavior during filming wasn't just passionate or outspoken, it was reportedly controlling, combative, and at times outright disruptive. Crew members claimed she constantly tried to alter scenes, challenge direction, and made it known she wanted her version of Snow White to be completely different from the classic. No romance, no prince, no fairy tale tropes. The problem? That wasn't the story Disney had written, nor what many fans wanted. She openly disrespected her co-star Andrew Burnap.
So did you go directly from West Side? Like, did you have to audition for Snow White, or like, oh, they saw you in West Side Story, they're like, you're Snow White?
West Side Story was kind of nowhere near coming out. We were about like 6 months away from release, and no footage had been seen.
Who played the prince during interviews by calling his character a stalker and mocking the original storyline. She downplayed his role so much that it became a running joke online that Andrew filmed half a movie that never even made the final cut. It wasn't just revisionism, it was erasure, and this attitude didn't go unnoticed by the rest of the cast. The tension reportedly boiled over during promotional events, with one moment standing out above all. Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, was allegedly asked by Disney execs to help do damage control, specifically to publicly defend Rachel and support the film amid its brutal reception. But Gal wasn't having it. Multiple sources claim she refused outright. In private, she reportedly told Disney she would not stake her reputation defending someone she felt had tanked the project. And according to one unverified but widely discussed account, Gal confronted Rachel directly, telling her, to her face, that she was the reason the movie failed. That moment, whether dramatized or real, has become part of the growing mythology around this flop. A story of internal betrayal, career fallout, and reputational damage that now extends far beyond just one bad film.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
And while all of this played out in the public eye, Disney was quietly retreating. The company, once confident in its live-action empire, has begun pausing upcoming projects behind the scenes. The most obvious casualty? Tangled. Originally slated to be Disney's most expensive live-action remake ever, it was expected to go into full production by mid-2025. But after Snow White's crash landing, the plug was pulled, budget approvals were frozen, casting conversations halted. Internally, the word being whispered was reassessment, but in reality, everyone knew what that meant. Disney was scared, and they had every reason to be. The studio was already reeling from disappointing performance with other remakes like The Little Mermaid, but Snow White was supposed to be the comeback. Instead, it became the warning sign that even Disney magic has limits. Even financially, the picture keeps getting worse. While Disney originally hoped to cap losses at around $115 million, newer projections suggest the final global gross of $195 million will fall far short of covering the combined production and marketing budget.
For every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress.
Estimates now say Disney may lose $145 to $180 million on this single movie. And that's not counting the opportunity cost. Pulled merchandise deals, international promos that went nowhere, and the lost momentum for future franchise extensions. That's not just a bad quarter, that's a corporate bloodbath. And for a company already under fire for streaming losses, political controversies, and leadership drama, this couldn't have come at a worse time. But it's not just Disney that's feeling the heat. It's the broader culture of remakes and reboots that's now under fire. For the past decade, Hollywood has leaned heavily on nostalgia. Studios have treated beloved properties like cash machines, rehashing classics with a modern twist, and expecting fans to show up no matter what. But Snow White may have just proven that this formula has a breaking point. When you strip away everything people loved about a story and replace it with messaging, buzzwords, and corporate-safe feminism, you don't get empowerment, you get resentment. And, more importantly, you get disengagement. Audiences didn't rage at Snow White. They ignored it.
And I guess people followed suit. There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and it couldn't happen to a better person. What is the lesson to be learned here with this Snow White disaster?
And that's far more dangerous for a studio. So what happens now? For Rachel Zegler, the road back won't be easy. Yes, she's landed an indie role, but the fact that her team rushed to announce it the same week the movie was falling off a cliff suggests this was about narrative control. Try to shift the story from Rachel ruined Disney to Rachel is rebuilding. Whether the public buys it is another question entirely. For Disney, the retreat is already happening. Future live-action projects are being quietly scaled down. Executives are reportedly pushing for safer bets and reevaluating how much creative freedom to give their stars moving forward. In short, they're trying to avoid another Snow White. But here's the real question. Is it already too late? Can Disney reverse course and regain the trust of the audience it's slowly alienating? Or has the company finally reached the breaking point where even its diehard fans are starting to walk away? Because when your most expensive remake in years gets laughed off the screen, dragged by your own cast, and pulled from thousands of theaters within a month, that's not just a flop.
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay. I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
That's a failure of strategy, of leadership, of vision. At this point, Snow White is more than a movie. It's a symbol of what happens when billion-dollar brands lose touch with their audience, when storytelling becomes corporate messaging, when characters are treated like hashtags instead of human beings. And as Rachel Zegler's career hangs in the balance, and Disney's once-infallible remake machine grinds to a halt, one thing has become painfully obvious. The fairy tale is over. So now, the question goes to you. Do you think Rachel Zegler can ever bounce back from this? Was the failure really about her, or was Disney's obsession with reboots always destined to fail? And more importantly, should they just stop remaking the classics altogether? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we're reading all of them, and we'll feature the best takes in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.